Israel has ordered Palestinians to evacuate from Gaza's second largest city, Khan Yunis. This comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he wants to, quote, take control of the whole of the strip. Gaza officials say Israel's latest offensive has killed hundreds of Palestinians. Now, a warning to our viewers, this 2-minute report contains images that some may find distressing.
Gunshots are fired from an Israeli helicopter over Gaza on Monday morning. While on the streets of Khan Yunis below, trucks of people are rushed to overwhelmed hospitals. The Palestinian news agency says dozens of people have been killed since dawn. The wheels are now rolling on aid trucks at the Karim Shalom crossing after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will allow what it calls a basic amount of food into Gaza following an almost 2-month blockade.
From the beginning of the war, we said that in order to complete the victory, to defeat Hamas and to free all our hostages, there is one essential condition. We must not have a famine, both for practical and diplomatic reasons. We simply won't have support, and we won't be able to complete the mission of victory.
Over the weekend, hundreds of hungry Gazans scrambled for food at a charity kitchen. The crowd surging forward, children screaming and crying out for food. While just 15 kilometers away on Gaza's southern border, aid was waiting to be brought in, languishing in parked trucks.
It has been a constant struggle to get the aid in and to get it to the people that need it. What we're seeing now on the ground in Gaza is the worst that we have seen. The situation for Palestinians in Gaza now is beyond atrocious. Children are being killed by bombs, they're being starved.
As staff at this hospital warehouse in Khan Yunis attempt to deal with the aftermath of Israeli strikes, the population of Gaza's second largest city has now been told, once again, that they must evacuate immediately.
And I can now speak to David Mencer. He's a spokesman for the Office of the Prime Minister of Israel and joins us from Jerusalem. Welcome to DW, Mr. Mencer. Now, over the weekend, we heard it there, thousands of Israelis actually took to the streets to demand a diplomatic solution to the conflict. Is the government listening?
Israel's government, by nature, always listens to its people, but its mandate comes from its people. We have very, very clear war aims, which we take extremely seriously, and they are that this genocidal terrorist organization, which wishes to destroy this country, is not able to do that, and that we get all of our hostages home. That's the objective of this government. That is the view of the overwhelming majority of Israel's people, even though they hurt right now, because it is Hamas, the genocidal death cult, who your own former Chancellor Schmidt said were just like the Nazis, were trying to destroy this country. So the image you're giving, I think, is not quite correct. There is consensus in this country for the objectives of the government to get our people home, to get them released from Hamas captivity, and to ensure that Hamas can no longer be in power in Gaza.
It is part of the picture, though. I do want to talk about the limited aid deliveries that are set to resume to enter Gaza. Now, after 11 weeks of fiercely defending the full blockade, why the change of mind now?
Well, a new plan has been announced today. It's together with our US partners. We've been working hard. This is the point here, to get aid to the people of Gaza and not to Hamas. There's no one starving in Hamas. When we've arrested them or captured them or otherwise, they're very, very well fed, even overweight. So we want to feed the civilians and not the terrorists. No more can Hamas turn hunger into a weapon. No more, we won't let them. And if you allow me on this particular subject of humanitarian aid that goes to Hamas is not humanitarian. This genocidal death cult have been stealing aid intended for civilians in Gaza. This is a tragedy and a crime. Israel will not allow these terrorists to deprive
Allow
civilians
me to jump
of aid.
in there because
So
we did
we've worked-
talk to representatives both of UNICEF and UNOCHA today, and they say they do have working mechanisms in place to avoid large-scale diversions of goods, and that they actually have no evidence of that happening. So where is the evidence of the situation that you are pointing towards?
I wonder if you've listened to our hostages and the things that they've said. Maybe you have selective hearing over there in Germany, but we've heard what our hostages said. And they said that their hostage takers, the Hamas terrorists, took all the aid. They could see it all around them. They could see them carrying the boxes with the UN logos. It is well known now that Hamas have stolen the aid, and that is specifically how they raise their money. It is their engine for their terrorist machine. So we've worked round the clock with President Trump and his team to ensure that aid reaches civilians and isn't stolen by mass murdering dictators who seek to starve their own people and kill ours. This hunger story has been engineered by Hamas and repeated without question by too much of the media. Hamas have hijacked humanitarian aid that was sent in 2 months ago, and of course, that is also in Hamas's hands. Now, they could release it to their own
sounds
people.
Very, very much anecdotal. I do want to get back to something that you have repeatedly said before today, the fact that there was no starvation in Gaza. Does that mean you were wrong if you are now letting aid in because it is necessary to avoid a humanitarian catastrophe?
Look, our battle is with Hamas, not with Gazans. Gazans are suffering because of Hamas. Gazans suffer because Hamas started this war and could end it with the release of our hostages. Now, Hamas do hijack the aid. The United Nations themselves have admitted that, and they jack up the prices, they steal the food.
For the past 11 weeks, though, there was no aid to be hijacked, and I kind of want to focus on Israel's role in this. So
yes, and if you allow me to speak without interrupting me, I will tell you that Hamas's business model is misery. That's how Hamas fund this war. That's why Israel is cutting out Hamas out of the equation and still getting the aid in. We've got a very clear two-stage plan. Number one, well, if you allow me to talk rather than interrupting me every 3.5 seconds, I will tell you. Number one, our plan, stage one, is to feed the people, to freeze out Hamas, with mobile kitchens, with private contractors, and with safe zones for civilians. And stage two, that's the immediate stage. In the second stage, we will continue food deliveries using private contractors in the safe zones under strict controls, precisely to ensure that Hamas looting does not take place. For Israel, preventing a humanitarian crisis, even as Hamas causes one, is our priority. Hamas have stolen the aid which Israel has delivered. You know, we don't just preach morality, we actually practice it. So from now on, aid will go directly to the civilians, not to the terrorists who stole Gaza.
That sounds like an excellent plan, and if it can be done, how come you haven't done that before?
Hamas will ensure that Hamas no longer controls who eats. This is how you beat terror, with principle, with purpose, and with determination and humanity.
Was that not
within
there
the
before?
international law. Hamas hides behind civilians. Israel is moving them out of harm's way and getting them fed. We protect life, they exploit it. That is the difference.
You're not really answering my questions, though. If there is a way to circumvent Hamas in the distribution of aid, how come it hasn't been implemented until now?
Hamas remain in control in Gaza precisely because they hide amongst civilians. I've told you what our plan is, to move civilians out of harm's way with careful screening to make sure that the people, the Gazan civilians that go into safe zones are not Hamas terrorists. Once we have separated the population from the Hamas terrorist organization, then we can focus on getting food to the people and finishing off this genocidal death cult. Now, Germany wouldn't live for more than 5 minutes next to a genocidal death cult determined to destroy Germany. We won't accept that either. Now, I would expect that the sort of double standards which your correspondents are sharing with us right now in a rather frantic way would show us a little understanding that we are a nation which is facing this war on 7 fronts, not a war that we started, but we will defend ourselves. We will get food to the people that Hamas has starved, and we will destroy this terrorist organization, and we will return peace to this
Those
region. Not just for us,
I do have to
but
say,
for ordinary Gazans
are very
as well.
out of place. Our correspondents are
Which
highly
accusations?
professional.
Which accusations? Which accusations?
The accusations of us and our correspondents having double standards.
Okay, let me ask your correspondent. Why was she wearing a vest? Why was she wearing a bulletproof vest when she's 2 miles away from Gaza?
I can't tell you about the security detail of our correspondents in the fields. They get a thorough security assessment. I do want to get to one last point before we have to leave because we're running out of time. The new German government calls this new large-scale offensive a cause for deep concern, both for Israel's strategic objectives and for the humanitarian situation. What do you say to that?
I would say very clearly that we very much value the partnership we have with Germany, including the new government of Germany. But the return of our hostages is our priority. And none of us want war here. All of us want this war to end. And we're ready to stop the fighting. Hamas would rather keep killing. There is a deal on the table. Half the live hostages released for a ceasefire. Hamas have refused. Only a bloodthirsty death cult like Hamas can choose to stop the suffering so far. They refuse. But we will never leave Hamas running Gaza, no matter what. Hamas, which abducts, terrorizes and kills, we're getting civilians, Gazans, out of harm's way, and we are taking the fight directly to Hamas. While saying that, our team is in Doha. There is a proposal on the table. Israel has accepted it. Hamas have rejected it. It is the Witkoff plan. It is, and I've stated what it is the return of 10 live hostages, which will lead to a cessation of violence. That's what we want. We've agreed to it. Hamas would do well to accept it.
We'll have to leave it there. That was David Mencer, spokesman for the Office of the Prime Minister of Israel. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.